another episode of the Gentleman's Code. I believe we're on episode 48 is what I have on my end. So if you guys were here from the OG days when we started the Gentleman's Code last summer, it's been almost a year in the making. So, if you guys have been with us from the beginning, congratulations. You've seen it all. You've seen the technical difficulties we had when we first started. I don't even think we made it through the first 3 episodes because one, we didn't either have sound or we didn't even have audio.
Right.
Something was going on the first 4 or 5 episodes. So we've come a long way since then, being able to pop on here and do it whenever we want. But a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of stuff going on in business, and a lot of motivation to be given. It's on here to be motivating. It's on here to get you up out of bed in the morning and get you working. And same for each other. That's why we do it. That's why we come on here and talk. So Priyam, how you doing? How's it going? How's your week? And what's going on? What are you building?
We're fucking fired up. We're ready for war. Boba Fett and I have been in the fucking trenches, developing, building. Are you still working on that one soft? Nice. Fuck.
Actually, I just had a big meeting with Plaid. I don't know if you've ever seen Plaid before. So they're going to be my banking integration. So when you pop on and you want to connect a bank account, there's some kind of loopholes you got to jump through in order to be compliant with, the banks like Wells Fargo, Chase. They have some things requirements you have to meet. The boy already met those requirements. So I met with some of their onboarding people and some of their developers to be able to make sure the development is key. So yeah, that's in the works. I just got to kind of pay the initial server fee to be able to use their service and connect to the banks. But yeah, that's it's coming together.
Sick. And we already talked about how we can integrate that into the business that we have right now. Beautiful. Because there's going to be a big use case for our brokerage, our company, for what you're building. That's fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my main last kind of hoop I got to jump through is the actual accounting workflow. It's like how I'm trying to find that balance between being an in-depth accounting workflow where you see your revenues, you see your expenses, and you see all the things you're purchasing, but then also simplifying it with the AI. So trying to find that balance between, all right, it's simple, it's easy. The banking integration was one of those hoops, but finding something that's simple for people that don't want to have to do all the accounting and BS workflows you got to do. So that's kind of the last kind of hoop here, making it in-depth enough that it's useful, but also simple enough that anybody could just get in there and use it.
Right. Fuck you. And that's what it is. You see, you can't lose if you don't quit. Every week we're doing something. We're building something. And people get so discouraged whenever 1 or 2 things, business ideas don't work, that didn't go my way, blah, blah, blah. Not every business idea is going to work. 99% of them are actually not going to work. But it's the people who actually continue to trial and error, and develop different things until something catches. Those are the people who win. It's not that they were any better than you or smarter than you, have tried. No, it's just they kept doing different things. A lot of people will just quit after one idea, one project, one business. They're like, fuck it, I can't do it. I need to go do it. All right, well, then you're never going to fucking win. You're never going to figure it out. You have to go through so many different things before you can find the one product, the one service that actually cracks off for you.
Yeah, and it's all trial and error is pretty much what it is. Even you, you've been through how many different steps in the insurance business now in the 5 years you've been doing it. You've gone through so many steps in just that frame, and that's the way I'm taking it too. Is you try different things, especially in the age of AI. You're able to build things so quick and able to test trial and error super fast. Now is the way to do it. You want to build something. If it doesn't work out, people don't want it. All right, you move on to the next thing. But being able to build and being able to test quickly is key. And we always, that's one of our mottos, right? Is business is speed. So you have to get things up and running quick. You have to test it quick. You have to get it to market quick. And that's how you can understand. That's how you get data points to whether if people are going to buy it, if it's going to make money, and whatever else you need. So yeah, building it with speed is key. And, if it doesn't work out, you move on to the next thing. But you have to learn. You have to take what you learned in that failure to the next step.
Exactly. Yeah. And feedback and reflecting is what's going to give you improvements that are meaningful. So we just, a good example of this is watching game tape, separate from business, but just a way to get feedback for yourself and actually improve. We watched film of a guy who's doing sales right now. And as soon as we watched this filmed, instantly could identify the issues that he was having with his presentation. And he was able to identify it too, because he went from a third person perspective, actually went and looked back at the game tape And oh, okay, I see what I was saying. I see what I was doing wrong. I see how I sound to the client. It gives you such a better perspective, and then you can actually write down and analyze the adjustments you have to make so the next time you actually improve. Because repetition in and of itself isn't going to be the only thing that improves your abilities, right? Great example, we've talked about this before, is speech, right? There are people who are 50, 60 years old who've been speaking the English language for 60 years but sound like babbling buffoons and don't understand how to speak, aren't articulate. Well, they have so much practice. Why don't they speak well? Because there's no reflection, there's no development, there's no actually getting better at it. So yeah, you have to reflect. You got to get data and then reflect and then make adjustments.
And with building businesses in 2025, reflecting on your previous experiences, people get discouraged too, right? They say, oh, that didn't work, I can't do that again. But maybe you just needed to tweak it in a way that reflected more with the customers or with the users. Some people, they'll say, oh, that didn't work, I just have to move on for it. It's like, maybe it would have worked if you would have done something slightly different, or slightly, just changed your philosophy in the ever slightest way, and it might have worked. You see this with social media, right? People will post two different videos, but they'll change the intro of one to maybe they're looking at the camera as opposed to looking away from the camera, and that video goes viral for like hundreds of thousands of views. So tweaking it and ever building off of what is only going to benefit you in the long run. So like you're saying, watching game film, watching yourself speak backwards is key. I always do that with these videos and be like, oh wow, I sound like an idiot there, but you live and you learn.
Right.